So now we're to the cards that are green. These are the instruction cards. So I want to share with you a couple of ideas, and then you have different ways of exploring. All of this is about how to get to know these cards, how to start to really get to understand what they mean for you and how they can help with your well-being, and how you can help share that with other people so that you can work together to all have the best that you possibly could be, and feeling excited, joyful, rejuvenated, relaxed, calm. Okay, so the first one is getting to know the cards. So getting to know the cards, you have the deck and you just take one card. You take that one card and you can go to the instructions for that card, and then you can get to know it just by doing just the one card. You know that you have the color on there. You have, this one has the essence here, heart connection. You have a picture that you can identify with and an action at the bottom. You have a sound you can make. There's a lot of things that you can explore on one card. And so you might decide you want to play with this card all week and just see what's going to happen when you engage with it. And I have a friend that she has a routine of something in the morning, something at noonish time, maybe at lunch, something in the afternoon, and then something in the evening. So if you decided, I'm going to learn more about this card, you might decide to add it in 4 times in the day. And when you engage with this card, what do you start to notice? So by the end of the day, do you have a little bit more energy? Maybe you were breathing more deeply. Maybe you got more done. Maybe your viewpoint changed on something. So just being aware and open to what are the possibilities that you might notice because you added this extra little activity in. Okay, so that would be how you could do one activity. All right, now the cards, as I indicated, have different pieces all hidden on them, I guess you would say, because you kind of look at the card and it's just the card. So the first one is sounds. Why is that important? When you make a sound, it has a frequency. And it has, sometimes you might do it like a tone you would notice as if you played the piano. The note of C always has the same sound. A C sharp always has the same sound. Same as the F is always the same. And you could have this octave, so you could have it down here, but you could have it up in the next octave, which would be a higher pitch, and then you can have it in the next octave, which is higher. So you have different ways you can make those tones. What happens is when you make different sounds, the body starts to resonate with that sound. And it can actually, when I was talking about the water wheel before, it's like if you have that beaver dam that happens where the beaver has built his home and he's backed up all the water on the river, and it's created a creek in the front, but this big river in the back and this big flow that goes out across land that hasn't been underwater. That's changing everything. That can happen with our stress. So we can have this stress going on. Maybe we contract here in the shoulders, we bring the stress in and we hold it. And now there's less blood flow, less lymph flow. We don't have our breathing the same. It's compacted. So we have made a change. But when we go to make the sound, you have to take a deep breath, first of all, and then you have to let that sound out. Whoo. And the first sound very often for me is like, oh, what was that sound? That sounds terrible. It didn't sound like I had confidence in it. I didn't have enough breath behind it. And it didn't even, the pitch didn't even seem right. So then I can go back and do it again. Whoo. Ah, that felt a little bit better and I had a little bit more air behind me. So now if I do it again, whoo, and now I don't even care how loud I am. I'm like, yeah, I got this sound. This sound is feeling really good. So if we're at a game and somebody scores, we all cheer, woohoo, yes. And we're very excited and no problem expressing ourselves. But then we have, how do you express yourself when you're not cheering for a game? How do you make sure that the oxygen is still passing through? How do you make sure everything is open and that flow is happening of that water wheel? That beaver dam hasn't stopped things. You've got free flow down the river. So that's what you want to do. Sound creates that. It may be very difficult to make some sounds, and that's an indication where some blocking might be occurring. And you'll notice that that will shift over time. So you have to, using your Choose Love formula, you have to embrace your courage, and you have to forgive yourself for judging the sounds that you're going to make. And you have to push through that, and you have to let those sounds have an experience. And then pretty soon they're going to feel comfortable, and your opportunity to express yourself, say what you mean, voice an opinion, that's all going to change if it's been hard for you to do those kinds of things. So that's what can happen with sound. Then we have the colors. And the colors I explained in the 5-element wheel, and we have put them in the cards so that as many cards as possible have been identified with different parts of the elements. We did that on purpose because color also has a frequency. And sometimes we resonate with one color more than another color based on how we're feeling. And sometimes it's because, we're feeling a little bit shy or reserved. And so we resonate more with a color that allows us to do that. And then all of a sudden we can be empowered by another color. And it's like, oh, I'm not afraid to try that. I'm going to dive right in. That's what color can do for us. So if you want to explore color, then you can think about how the color that you wear next to your skin can empower you or not. How the colors that you have in your room. So you notice my room has lots of colors in it. I have very specific pieces that I have put in here. And so those are empowering for me. I also know that if I'm looking for a color that's going to empower me for something particular, I'll know which color to look for and then kind of bring that into focus. And so if you look at the paintings that are behind me here, I have them also on canvas. And so if I find like water, so blue, find that blue kind of gives me a nice, easy flow. And when I'm trying to do something new, blue can be very helpful for me. And so I could sit on the blue canvas. I could have put a blue swatch underneath onto my skin. I could wear a blue bracelet. I might decide to put in blue earrings, although they're not touching my skin, but they're close. There's lots of ways that you can engage with color. And you may notice that the room that you're in might not be supporting you with feelings of empowerment. And if that's the case, you may want to add some colors. That's why a bouquet of flowers in the room or some little prop pieces that have certain kinds of colors in them or remind you of things, those can be very helpful in supporting you and bringing awareness through the color. And so as you play with that, you're going to start to experience the strength of color. And in the 5-element wheel, we talk about how when it's in a certain order and you flow from one color to the next, how it empowers the system. So you have that as well. Okay, then we have actions. So our cards are there for you to be engaged in doing something. And a lot of times people don't know how to move forward. They have been in the same place for so long, they can't realize how to move forward. And so those action items are ways for you to make a simple action. And eventually that simple action is going to lead you to other actions towards goals and ambitions that you have set for yourself. And that comes from those compass cards, which had goal and intention and intuition involved in it. So just to keep in mind that as you start to move through some of these cards, they do make changes in the system. And just to be really open, you don't know where it's going to make a change, but you always know it's going to be for balance and flow, which means it's always going to be for the outcome in which you've imagined or you've articulated. All right, that takes us to transforming emotions. So those cards were the ones where for the water element, you have fear and anxiety, and we had transforms you over to content, I think it was, and I've forgotten now, and peace. So you have the ability to go from those one set of emotions across to another set of emotions. You can do that with action, color, breathing, sound. All of these things can actually move you into a new place. Those emotion cards are important because a lot of people will feel that because they have been in that one spot, they don't know how to get to the other spot. And we've set it up so that the cards help encourage you into that and provide you with a means to get there. Animals, the animal cards. In Tai Chi, we have different kinds of animals that are an explanation of different kinds of movements. And they also represent some of the kinds of things that will happen. So if you creep low like a snake, the snake comes through the water, sheds his skin, and he comes up almost like a rebirth. And get rid of some of that yucky stuff you don't want. And look, there you are, fresh and new. So in the animal cards, we chose the animals that matched the sounds from the 6 healing sounds. So that is why you have a possum there. Choo, 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 the sound that the babies make. You have the snake there for that S sound. So when you start to embody what an animal can do, especially if you're working with kids, have them explore the movements of the animal, get to learn more about the animal. What does it represent? There are a lot of animals that you could choose to play with. We just chose those 5, but you might decide to really explore movement and other kinds of animals and some of their major qualities that make them really good. For a lion to be a hunter, what do you need to be a hunter? What do you need to be someone who can really survive and be strong? And what do you need if you're a bird that needs to fly? What kind of things do you need with your wings? Is there a pattern to the feathers that is important? What happens when you sit on that branch and it bounces in the wind? Are you flexible? Are you able to move easily? There's just so many ways that you can explore through animals, and this is just a start for you. And the last one is the neurovascular holding points. Those were the points on the head. Those, all of them, are designed to calm the system. And so you can use them in any order. You could just use one card and that would be totally fine. The neurovascular holding points from a physical structure move the blood from the body, from the back brain up into other parts of the brain. And so if you've had a really stressful situation or your body has been held in tension, those holding points, very simple to do. You can do them on in a meeting. You can just hold your hand there. Lots of people do it while they're writing. They'll put their hand on their forehead. Some people will rest here. All of that is holding, neurovascular holding points. And you're just creating the possibility for a shift to happen. So those can be very powerful. All right, those are the individual activities. And again, there's a lot on one card. Take the pieces, play around with them, see what can happen. So then we go to creating formulas. I wanted to talk about that. I did do one video on the happiness formula. That one's a great one. You have to pull cards from different parts of the sets and bring them together. So some people I know are scared to take the sets apart, but please, pull them apart, put the pieces together. So we have a whole range of formula cards. And I'm not going to pull them out for you and do them individually because I would prefer that you explored them on your own to see what they mean for you. Find the cards in the deck, because part of it is learning about the cards, and then create that formula. So the awareness formula says the compass set and the senses set. So all you have to do is grab those 2 sets and do the activities on the card. You could go through the one set, so the compass set, you could go through it, and then you could go through the senses set, or you could buddy them up by color, and you could do the 2 parts together. So you could play around with them different ways. Those cards have a lot of impact for you. So if you're looking for coordination, power, how to focus better, I can. Anybody who has someone in their world that says, I can't, that would be the formula to pull for them. I can. Then it has the choose love formula for using sign language, calming and energizing. There's so much power in this little tiny bit of the deck. Please take advantage, pull the cards out and start to play with them. So that's creating formulas. All right, so that gets us to some of the games we could play. So one of them is charades. Charades would be, you have your deck of cards, you've shuffled them all up, mixed them all up, and somebody pulls the card, they have to be able to do maybe one piece that's on the card. So maybe it's the action item. Maybe you say it has to be two pieces. So maybe it's action item and they choose to make a sound. Maybe it has to do with the color. So they have to grab a color swatch, put the color swatch on and do the action. So the charades is about getting to know the cards, getting to play with them, getting familiar with what do the actions mean or what do the pieces mean. And then finding out the ones you really enjoy working with the most, because those are the ones you'll kind of bring into your web of influence first. And then you'll notice they kind of go to the side and then another set will kind of come in. You'll play with those for a while to go to the side and then the next will come in. And that's just as the body has brought balance and flow for one area, it needs a new experience. And so that'll move you to the other sets of cards. But charades is a great way to get to know the cards. It's a lovely way to play with the kids. The next one is memory. So now memory, I just took the nature movement cards and I pulled the two sets that I had and I just shuffled them together. Now you can do, 3 or 4 sets if you want, depends on how old the kids are and how hard it would be. So I've just shuffled the deck and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them down in rows. I'm just going to put them down face down. And then the job is for someone to turn one card over, see what it says, and then turn another card over somewhere else. If they match, they get to keep those cards, and that's considered one win. If they don't match, they turn them back over, but try to remember the card, because next time you might turn over another card and you'll know where the match is going to be, or someone else will have memorized it. And that's how memory works. So you could have a couple rows of cards, but you might decide to use several sets and you may end up with maybe 25 cards, maybe 50 cards. It's a little bit harder to remember. And every time you get a match, take that over as a win. And at the very end, you count up how many wins you got. And that'll be the winner of the game, the one with the most wins. There are a couple versions to memory. So you have a memory challenge, which would be you get the match. Now you have to do what the cards say. So in order to keep the cards, you have to be able to do the action or the pieces on the action, whatever you decide are the most important parts of the card. And if you do it, you get to keep the cards. But if you can't do the action, you have to turn the cards back over. And that means someone else may be able to flip them again and get the cards because they do know the actions. So that would be the other one. And then memory twin takes it a little bit deeper. So you have the opportunity to expand that. That's age 8 and up. Okay, that's how you can play with the games on the deck, as well as how to create the formulas. You now have everything you need to be able to really begin to explore these decks. When you get to the place where you understand these decks, check out our workshop opportunities, because of course you're at the start of your adventure and we have more that we will be looking forward to share with you as you can expand the deck, be even more inclusive. Thank you so much for coming in to learn more about the deck. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate you passing the deck forward to those people who could benefit from learning more. Thank you so much.